Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm okay, mate. I'm okay. Hanging in there. You know, the usual, mate. The usual, hanging in. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Yeah, another busy week at work, but yeah, things are all right, mate. Things are looking good. We are well on the way to getting into free agency and getting into a lot more things to talk about on the show, because obviously we have a few dead weeks, so it's a bit dire at times. We'll get into our sponsors, mate. As always, Dunstable Town FC's Talk of the Town podcast, where they're sponsored this year. Go over and have a look at them. You can find them on YouTube. They do a lot over there. Oddballs as well, myoddballs.com. Go and have a look at Oddballs. They give 50% of any product sold on their website to men's testicular cancer charities. So if you fancy a new pair of boxers or a scarf or a bobble hat, go over and give them a look. Also, bleedingburgundy.com, the right inside of Commanders. If you're into that side of thing, go over and give that a follow and have a look at that. We'll get into the news then, Scouts. Loads of news this week, obviously being Combine Week. There's a lot to go through. The first bit of news, though, which we'll briefly touch on, is the Commanders have lost key trainer ahead of 2026. So Tim McGrath, who served as Director of Player Health and Performance for the last 2 seasons, has elected to return back to Australia with the search underway to find his replacement for this season. It was a decision that was supported by Adam Peters. He talked about it at his podium press conference during the Combine. He said it had nothing to do with our injuries. We were pretty healthy the year before, and he doesn't carry any of the blame there. And also, this is backed up as well by the NFLPA survey that the players used to do, where training staff and medical always getting A's. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we've lost this guy. I mean, any thoughts on that? I mean, do you want the job? Because, you know, you're more than qualified.
Yeah, I don't think I've got an experience in the NFL, but yeah, I mean, injuries.
College football, you have?
Yeah, college football did a little bit, but yeah, I think for the head of their game, I think they'd want like someone a bit more experience, but in that realm. But yes, I'm available if you want to contact me, Commanders. You know, I'm quite happy to take a phone call from you. It's not a problem.
Cool stuff. Marcus, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you. We will get into that in a minute. So stick around with us for a little while longer. We'll just go through the rest of the news, and then we'll touch on that, mate, and we'll get through that. But thank you for being with us. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody as always for being here. Scott G as well for the bunker podcast there as well. Thanks, Andy, for being with us. Other news then, coaching changes. Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Johnson both end up at the LA Rams. Cliff is the assistant head coach now, and Brian is a senior offensive assistant. Doesn't affect us, but obviously we've got to make it out there to say this is where they've ended up. It's a weird one, that, with Cliff Kingsbury going to the Rams, because everyone knows who's steering the ship. You know, Sean McVay is steering the ship there. He is calling the plays. I don't know if he just wants a new brain. Do you know what I mean? Just to try and rack his brain for a year and say, hey, you know what? Let's see what your system can bring to us here as well, and maybe play a few, scheme a few plays in there. What are your thoughts on that, Scouse?
Yeah, I think it's a strange one as well, because let's face it, when you see Cliff calling plays, it's all about kind of mobile quarterbacks. Well, at the Rams, who've they got? They've got Statue Stafford. So this is
very good. The reigning MVP though.
Yeah, but he's not a runner. He can't run for shit.
No, he can't.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the same. Like, so a lot of his play calls are all about kind of a mobile quarterback. So it's definitely not in his skill set at all to call plays for a pocket passer. So for me, it's kind of a weird one. Now, again, unless they're thinking, progression as in maybe McVay only wants to do one more year. Maybe he wants to, retire or, and go into media, because I know he had a few options a few years ago.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right.
And he could have commanded a lot of money to actually go across to the media side of things. So maybe that's what he wants to do. And then maybe Cliff will be the natural successor to him the year after this one coming up. But we'll see how it goes. But at the moment, it does look strange.
It does, yeah, I agree with you. It does look a bit strange. Commander Bunker here. So Andy, he says, can we talk about Scouse looking 10 years younger than last week? Hashtag I would. Yeah, so also thank you, Maverick, for being with us. McVay just upped his contract, so sort it. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, fair enough. But again, see, like any of these guys, he might have just been a nice pay rise, and then he plans to retire after this next season. You know, you don't know. I mean, but I'm guessing, like, but it does seem strange one to try and get a potential head coach as an assistant with no progression plan for him. What's the point? So
I don't understand that either. We're absorbing apparently Brian Johnson's role as well, whatever that means.
So they made up some role for him that didn't even work.
No, like, here at the Commanders, we are absorbing his role.
Yeah. So it didn't actually work. Whatever that role he had didn't actually work.
He was assistant head coach.
And now, but he's not an assistant head coach. He's an assistant. What does he know? Assistant dodgy guy.
No, I mean with us, he was our assistant head coach. Is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So obviously, okay. Have we given it to somebody else then? Assistant?
No, there's no title yet. So
interesting.
Interesting to see what happens there. Signings wise, in Scouts, a couple of signings have been on since we last talked. Tressway again has signed a seldom used type contract this time. It saves the Commanders over 1.5 million in cap space in 2026. According to Over the Cap, they've just updated his database or the database with Tressway's details. It really looks, when you read it, like the math doesn't math. You're like, what? How does this work? But it's a strange situation. Tress's contract is in a compliance with the newish benefit that was introduced in 2020 through the collective bargain agreement called a 4-year qualifying contract. So it's something completely different. What happens is it's basically who qualifies for it. So a player with 4 or more credited seasons who choose to stay with the club after that has expired on their contract of 4 or more continuous uninterrupted service with that club, they are immediately they can be eligible for this contract. What the requirement is the player contract covers only a single league year and contains paragraph 5 salary of up to 1.55 million. I don't know what that means. In 2026 and 27, it's more than the active and inactive list. And then once you've got it, it basically means that although you're paying him like 3 million on the cap, it looks like you save 1.5 million back because you're keeping your existing players who are veterans who stayed there a while. So the only qualifying person who's close to being on that again is Jeremy Reeves. He may qualify in 2027 unless he gets obviously a massive pay rise. But it's a bit of a strange contract that he signed, Tress, but it saved us a bit of money, and we've got him for 2 years. So it's really
I think from his point of view, he's got 2 years rather than 1, because last year was a 1-year deal, and a bit more stability for him. But also, he still gets his money how he likes it, whatever it is, whatever the number was that he agreed. The 1.5 million thing, that's just a cap relief. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it is. Yeah.
So that doesn't bother him personally. Yes, it helps the team. That's why he signed this little known contract option. But he still gets his money. He's happy. We're happy because we get an extra 1.5 million available to spend on players in the upcoming year. But I just think it's cool to utilize these little things that make the difference. But you got to spend that money well. When we come into free agency, we got to spend that well rather than on poor players or whatever. So
next bit of news, then, player news wise, is your favourite player, Andrew Wiley, has signed another 2-year contract with us worth 7.5 million. At the moment, it could go up as high as 10.5 million with incentives. He's been with Washington since 2023, played obviously in several positions, guards. Last year, he placed Nick Algretti at right guard in week 3. Also been the team's right tackle, and he started there for us quite a few times. Wiley reworked his contract to stay with the team last year, and he's now back on a new deal. I know you're going to kick off about this. I know you don't like the fact that he's there. We can't all have pro bowlers and all pros as depth pieces. This is a depth signing, Scouse, and in a pinch, he can do a job for you for half a game, for 2 games, while someone's injured. In my opinion, as a guard, a swing guard or a swing tackle, whichever way you want to use him, I think he's a good depth piece signing. And we don't know what he's like in the locker room either, I suppose. He could be the locker room glue guy. We don't know that. Your thoughts on Turnstile and Staley?
Yeah, well, Turnstile is exactly what that name says on the tin. He is a turnstile. Now, these guys can walk past him with ease. He ain't good at all. Now I get it. honestly, if you got me that when we first signed this, obviously I would have been absolutely raging, right? So my head would have blew off, right? Now, obviously, a few days has passed since. I'm still a little angry, as you can see, but it's, as you say, it's a depth piece. I don't rate him at all. He shouldn't be in the squad. He shouldn't be in our team. I'd rather have took a gamble on some other dude, because at least with that guy, I don't know what he's about. I know what Wiley's about, and I know that he's not good enough. So I'd rather have had somebody else at that $5 million per year for the next 2. Even if it's some guy from another team that say that don't even know much about. I'd rather take the risk on the unknown for my mental sanity, rather than actually having Andrew Wiley in the squad. He's literally a turnstile. Game over. So
Scott G says you're overreacting. I don't think you're overreacting. I know you don't like him when he started. I can see it on film.
I've never liked him.
I know you've never liked him.
23. I've never said he is a good player. I've never said that in my life.
As a depth.
3 years later. I mean, of course, we signed him as a starter originally. That made it even worse.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
No, that made it worse. Yeah, I get it. He can play a couple positions, but again, he doesn't play it well. Like any of them, well, he plays them average to below average. His best game is an average game.
But you can't have if your line is good.
This guy was meant to be a starter.
Yeah, he's meant to be. He's now a depth piece. But if your line is good,
first signed him as well, and he's not too old. You can say, "Oh, his legs have gone" or whatever. It's just
no.
He's just not good.
I don't think he's too bad. I'll argue with Tosby on that.
Right tackle 1 or wherever the hell he was when we first signed him, wherever he played, wherever it was, he's meant to be the starter. Right, now he's like second to third string. And I would say he's not had many injuries. You can't say, oh, his injury has made him a worse player or he's getting too old. Isn't that either? He's just not a good player. He's just not consistent.
I just look at some of the dumpster fires that we've had in the past and think Wiley's a lot better than you're letting on. He's just double.
All I see is my quarterback's killed. All I see is my quarterback's killed.
I think he's a serviceable depth piece.
It isn't all him. It's not all his fault. I'm not blaming like our quarterback being dead because of him, but it's just kind of, I'm coming along. I'm coming around to the fact that he's going to be around for another couple of years, and but I don't want to see this guy in the field. So our starters better not get hurt. Our starters on O-line better not get injured ever, because I don't want to see Wiley on the field ever. So,
okay, well, we'll move on to that. Next bit of news. Congratulations to Andy Burrows.
Tell me though. Go on. If he comes into your O line for whatever reason, an injury or an illness or whatever, are you happy with that?
Yeah.
You're happy with him coming onto the field? You're happy to see him trying to protect the merchandise?
Yeah, I don't mind. I think he's okay. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as you're making out. I really don't. I think he's poor. I think he's a serviceable guard.
He's poor.
That's fine by me. I mean, Trent Scott, is that who you want outside?
I hope he started in London. Yeah,
I saw that. That's crazy. Yeah. Hi, Rod. Thanks for being here.
In London, you probably won't see me in the stadium. I'm going home. I know James will smoke if he's playing. So
I honestly think he's better than you make out. I think he's a serviceable depth piece.
Surely you've seen this guy play. You've seen him for the last 2 years.
Of course I have.
Of course I have. So many times. It's unreal. The guy's not it. Now, I get it. He's a backup now. He's not a starter. Okay. But then you just know he's going to get games because our line gets hurt. Just facts.
Scott says he performed last year. Scouts needs to schedule an eye exam.
Yeah, he performed, did he? How many quarterbacks did we go through?
It's not his fault if Jaden's running.
Well,
Jaden wants to bail out every 2 seconds. That's not his fault.
That's 1. How about Josh Johnson? That's 2. How about Mariota? That's 3. See what I mean here? I know these guys are saying all this running away. That's kind of like
was Wiley playing them games? I don't think he was.
I think
from week 3 he was up until week 7 when
some snaps. That's when the guys got hurt because he's that bad.
I think when up to week 7, I think he was playing until Sam Cosmi came in. Then Sam Cosmi actually underperformed last year. But when you look at exactly.
He's got something to prove. At least he could play at a high level before his injury. So I'm giving him some more leeway. I'm not giving Wiley any leeway because he's just not it. But that's fine. I'd say as a backup, I just don't want to see him on the field. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Scott G says none of the QB injuries were on him. I agree. I agree with you. I don't think they were. You can't if you're running back after an interception and you get flung over and you hurt your already injured arm. Whose fault is that? That's the QB's fault.
Yeah, but that's one injury there. What about all the other ones?
What other ones? The elbow, the hamstring.
You mean Mariota going out injured as well? You mean that one? Yeah. You mean these other guys?
When did Mariota go out injured?
He used to go.
I don't remember. No.
Mariota. Why did Josh Johnson play?
Yeah, I know. But I can't remember who. But who was at right tackle and right guard then? It was Cosme and Connolly. So
I get it, man. I get it. But the thing is, though, would you rather have one player who could play at, say, a D level over three or four positions, or have a backup who can play at, say, a C plus, who can play one position? I'd rather have the one position guy who's a C plus. I really would. Like, why would you want too many versatility guys if you can't actually produce at the good enough level that you need?
He's a double Super Bowl winner. He started for the Chiefs. He started for us. If he can start for Patrick Mahomes' offensive line, he's okay.
Have you seen the state of that O-line? It's only because of Mahomes being an absolute magician is the reason why he won a Super Bowl. It wasn't because of Wiley, I tell you that.
Yeah, he says, Scott G says, is Scouse trying to compete with Jesse for making the worst argument of the week?
I don't even know what Jesse's argument was.
Oh, it's about, we'll get into that. It's around Sonny Styles and Downs. Congratulations to Andy Burrows, who's taken the mantle as International Fan of the Year for 2025. Well done, my man. Enjoy Pittsburgh. I'm sure you'll have a great time.
I hope it rains every day.
Like it did in Green Bay. Combine press conference took place. So nothing really was given away from Adam Peters or DQ. The only things that did come out of it was Tunsil deal will get done. Adam Peters said he's learned from the offseason with Terry. This is a direct quote. I don't want to put a timeline on it, but it's important for us. Peters said of his intent on reaching agreement with Tunsil. We've been having talks, good productive talks with Laramie and his team. He hasn't really got a team, he represents himself. And we're motivated to get that done. So we don't want it to drag on. I don't think the league year is anything that's going to be a deadline of sorts. Tunsil's got 1 year remaining on his contract, 16.9 million base salary and approximately 24.9 million cap charge this year, which will obviously come down if he signs a new deal. Any thoughts on any of the press conferences that you saw from DQ or AP at the Combine? Like I say, it was just nonsense, wasn't it? Really,
yeah, it was lip service, wasn't it? Let's face it. I mean, I understand you don't want to give away any kind of secrets of who they might be going after, or I mean, I get all that. You know, I understand that. But yeah, but to be fair, yeah, it wasn't much. There wasn't much said, was there? But I do hope that AP does take what you said then on board, and that he did learn from the Terry problem, and he does get this signed seal quick, no messing around, you know. And he needs to learn to be a little more flexible with contracts to a certain extent. Not ridiculous, but you know, he's got to be kind of not as hard nosed as this is your number and that's it. If you don't agree to it, you're not signing. He's got to give it a little, you know. And I think that will stand him in good stead in his actual career as a general manager, I think.
Agreed. There's no decision on Lattimore as of yet. We're awaiting injury settlement.
What, he was cut?
No, they haven't cut him yet. They can't cut him. You cannot cut an injured player that's out for that long. So that's why we haven't had that 18 million cap space back yet. So what will happen from this is we'll come to an injury settlement with him for this, and then the dead cap or the 18 million will roll back in, but we'll probably end up paying Marshawn Lattimore a 4 million.
Does he deserve that?
No, but that's what we have to do because
I understand what you're saying. It's legal. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that. I understand that side of it. But what I mean is, it isn't just the footballing side that's been the problem. Look what he was doing more recently.
I understand that.
I mean, I think that that should void his contract anyway. Being honest. But you know,
the NFL would have to step in there and obviously look to put him on exemption lists and all that sort of stuff, and that isn't going to happen. If this is a cut player that we know, but the collective bargaining agreement and the NFLPA Players Association will look at that and say, hang on a minute, we've got to fight for something here. So I think that you'll probably end up with a 4 million settlement, and we'll end up with 14 million of that 18 million back. That's kind of where we are, because he could easily say, well, hold on a minute, this was my cap charge this year, which is like over 20 million. You know, I'm expecting to get some sort of recompense from that, and I could probably command, even though I'm injured, a 6 million salary from another team, which would average it out to about 10, which is probably where ideally he's probably looking to get. But yeah, no decision yet, mate. So it's one of them. Thoughts on the chance of Lattimore plays in Washington? Not in any way, shape, or form. He is done. Deluxe.
Don't forget. I mean, he's still coming off an ACL.
Exactly. You can't hang around for that. You can't hang around until November.
Yeah, exactly. Will he be ready in November? You see, I mean, that's like half the season gone. So I don't think it's not worth it anyway. It's not worth to try and keep him on the board and then maybe split it as a post-June or whatever. You might as well just
the thing is, you don't need to do a post-June cut or anything because there's no dead cap. Nothing. So it costs us absolutely zero for cutting him. The reason we haven't cut him is because we have to do this injury settlement legally.
Yeah,
and that's all. That's all it boils down to. The other one was the door is not closed on Zach Ertz. We've seen him training, doing a few sled pulls and a bit of weights here and there. Again, it's exactly the same situation as you just said for Lattimore. This guy isn't even going to be around until when did he get injured? He got injured against the Vikings, wasn't it? I think.
Which was like December, wasn't it? Was it December?
Yeah, it was quite late on the Vikings game. I would have to look it up. Obviously, came out of that Vikings game and got injured. So we got nilled in that game, didn't we? If I remember right.
We got abused. Yeah, we got abused there. We got abused by Seattle. They're the two biggest absolute abuses that we got last season with OCB.
Yeah, so it was December the 7th. Now, if you've got a torn ACL in December the 7th, and we don't know if it's just a torn ACL, or if you've got a displaced patella, whatever else happened, he is going to nowhere near be back from December to now. I mean, I don't even know how he's walking 8 weeks on.
Yeah, I think that's probably the reason why people thinking that it's the expected return time is actually start the season, which is obviously 9 months, rather than the usual kind of 10 to 12 with an NFL player for an ACL. The thing is, what you got to realize is Zach Ertz is old.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's got zero pace. So imagine what he's going to be like if he's back and his ACL's intact. He's got no. I mean, he's going to be nothing. He virtually gets no separation as it is. Do you really want him to be your tight end one anymore?
No, I mean, I don't even want him on the team.
It was solid for Jaden. Don't get me wrong. 2 years, nice, all right. But we need better. We definitely need better a tight end. We really do, as in a true
and younger
threat. And younger. We need a true threat, a tight end. And Zach Ertz wasn't a true threat. Didn't scare teams. You know what I mean?
Good red zone operator.
Yeah, I'd say he was solid for us. Don't get me wrong, he was solid, but now he's blown his ACL, and he's obviously what? How old will he be now? 34?
He'd be 37 coming up in this season.
He'd be 37 when the season starts. Right? Yeah. So for me, he'd be lucky he's not even walking about. Never mind, coming back to play the NFL at that age.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Rod says here Zach's projecting by to August apparently.
Yeah,
it's not. I listen to the medicals, mate. It's not. This isn't a disrespect to any of these journos out there pushing it. You know exactly how long it takes because that's your field. I know exactly how long it takes because I've fucking been there and I've done it. So I knew after 4 weeks I was now going into military rehab. Do you know what I mean? Which is hard. I'm constantly on it every day, 10 hours a day, rehabbing. And it took me 18 months before I even got anywhere near fit. But yeah, I broke other ligaments at the same time, which was a more complex knee injury. But when you have a knee injury like that, even as an athlete as good as Zach Ertz is, at his age, I don't want anything to do with that. And Njoku is available, Maverick. You're right. I quite like the look of Njoku, obviously being free. K. Dotton's another one who's free. Chiga Okonkwo, another one who I really like to see. But Isaiah Likely's the boy.
Yeah,
Isaiah Likely's the boy. That's the one we need to get. That is definitely the one we need to get. Because as you said before, and I'll come back to your point, which you've said many, many times on this show, you need a tight end who you don't know if you're going to pass or block. So you're not giving the game away. Is it a run play? Is it a pass play? The minute John Bates is on that field, you know what's happening. The minute Ben Sinnott's on the field, you know what's happening. at the moment. It's easy to diagnose, isn't it?
It's a tell, isn't it? It's a tell. That's what it is. I mean, the reason why Bates comes out with this once in a while really good catch, these type things, is because everyone doesn't realize that he can catch the ball.
He has got hands.
Leave him be, because he's just a blocker. So sometimes he gets that surprise aspect, but he's not a really great receiving tight end. We know that, but so everyone knows that he's a blocker. So that gives you the tell of he's going to be blocking. Okay, so you don't really take him into account in the past game. Same thing as you said before with we're obviously not mentioning it, but our running back, Bill. It's the same thing, because his pass pro is so bad. You know that they're not going to throw the ball while he's on the field. So same thing with the tight end as well. It does give defenses tells.
Mm-hmm.
And you try and be too smart and try and outthink it, and you haven't got the right personnel to block the guy. The guy's going to come through unaided, and the quarterback's going to get killed. So that's what's happened a few times, because I've tried to be smart at times and go, oh, you know what, we'll do a play action off it, or we'll do this or that, or and it's like, well, no, because at the end of the time, most of the time, the quarterback is getting it because there's no protection there, yeah? Or there's no receiver open, in the short, the short fit, the short routes. So yeah, you need a guy who can do it all. I mean, I know that they don't come on trees, and I understand that, to be an elite blocker and elite in the pass game, there's not many guys who can do that.
Takes time.
It does take time, but again, you've got to have like the tight end whisperer as a coach. I don't think we've got anyone like that.
I don't think we have either.
Done it, you know what I mean? It's been around. We haven't got like Tony Gonzalez as our as our coach. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like, well, what's Ben Stinner going to do? AP thinks of him like Kyle Juszczyk. Okay, then that's completely. He's even a tight end. They're not even playing him as a tight end. He's a fullback, a receiving fullback. That's basically what he is. So it's kind of like that. So if that's how AP saw him, well, this guy's never going to be tight end one. You see what I mean? So we need a tight end 100%. I will be dangling a checkbook at Likely for sure. And if he's not it, and Joku, but Joku's older, so quite a lot. So you got to be a little bit careful with that.
I like K-Dot, and I also like the upside of Chigakonkwo as well. His stats are very similar to Likely. So, and who's he had throwing him the ball at Tennessee?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But Likely's also got Andrews there, so he was in a tandem, a little bit different. He didn't get as many targets. I think if he came here, he would be a serious threat. I really do. I think he'd be a guy who get the ball quite a lot. I really do. I think he should come here.
One other thing that's come out news-wise, Bobby Wagner wants to play another year. That's fine, Bobby. You're both players we talked about there, Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner, surefire Hall of Famers, especially Bobby Wagner. But I would have thought, if I was Bobby Wagner, at that point in your life, you have your master's degree, you have the Walter Payton Man of the Year, you've come off an okay season, you've been paid an absolute shit ton of money. If you actually look at all his contracts, it's ridiculous. I think it's like $140 million he's received in his NFL career. You got your foundation and everything else. You're doing all your political bits and bobs. Just leave, mate. Just hang it up. It's not going to get any higher than that, is it? Let's be honest. If you're Walter Payton Man of the Year, unless you are absolutely thinking, I'm going to win a Super Bowl somewhere, you're not there. I mean, we all saw what he was like in coverage. He's just not got the legs anymore.
He's always been poor on coverage, so that's the thing.
But I know that. But he used to be able to still get sideline to sideline. Not always, but he showed you something. Now, dire.
Yeah. Just saying he's old. He's old now.
Exactly.
And he ain't London Fletcher type. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you're saying.
But it's a tough one. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like most players, they've been a player their whole life. The last thing they want to do is stop.
True.
Even when they get old, they don't really. Most guys love the game, don't want to give it up, and want to continue to do it until they physically can't do it anymore. That's why you see these quarterbacks who are still 45 and all that stuff coming out. Rodgers and all these other dudes.
Yeah. Still Tyrod Taylor.
They've got the money. I'm sure they've not blown it all. But again, it's about, can I still do the job? Can I still do it? And Rivers as well came out of a time of 4 years. You know what I mean? He came back 3 games. I get it. In your mind, you still think you're 20. Do you know what I mean? You still think that you can still do it. And until you get abused on the field, most guys don't. Most guys don't get it. Do you know what I mean? Until they realize they get hammered. So, Yeah, that looks. I can't see it, mate. I mean, you might see. I mean, potentially, would Wagner want to stay over this side of the country? I don't know because he's from the West Coast, isn't he?
That's what I mean. That's why I think going back to LA to the Chargers or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of works. The Rams, I don't know.
But what he's got to realize, though, he's got to swallow his pride a little bit because that was one of the problems he had here. He wouldn't come off the field. Remember, he wouldn't give the younger guys a game.
Yeah,
he wouldn't come off the field. So he would. If he went to LA or somebody like that, he would have to be in a rotation. He wouldn't be able to be the full time, every single snap kind of guy over there. It just wouldn't be happening. So you have to take, that ego, just to drop that ego just a touch. You know what I mean? But that's up to him if he wants to do that.
Commander Bunker says, "In my mind, I'm 21, and then we all drink together, and it goes downhill." You're absolutely correct.
That's so true. Though we all think we're 20, 21.
Oh yeah, I do too. Yeah, I do too.
Your bodies can't do it.
It's weirdly enough this week was something that got me massively. Was he said, "Yes, Cassie's past his prime, but he's still in podcasting." Yeah, you're not wrong. He looks 10 years younger though. He does look 10 years younger. Whatever skin formula you've been using, mate, you're looking good.
I haven't reached my prime rate in the podcasting game yet, bro. I've not even reached it. I went near it. I'm a rookie.
Someone was saying at work this week. Park Life, the song by Blur came on the radio, and I was like, "Oh yeah, tune." I was like, 1994. I said, "I remember this," and then the two people around me on my desk were like, "Wasn't even born." I was just like that. Oh God, okay, I'm officially old. And I was like, "So you never remember Gazza's tears at Italia 90?" Dear me, we are getting on anyway. We'll move on from there. Last kind of bit of news. Players who were interviewed today by the Commanders at the Combine. So a number of prospects for 2026 draft have already met with the Commanders during this scouting Combine. And I'll give you the names of who we looked at earlier, who we have had interviews with and what they've been addressed with the Commanders. So Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame. Notre Dame met with the Commanders with reports highlighting him as a top option at 7. David Bailey, edge from Texas Tech, confirmed a meeting with the Commanders expressing a willingness to play in various roles. Arvel Reese, linebacker stroke edge out of Ohio State, identified as a strong fit for the front 7. Sonny Styles, eyed as a potential linebacker to fill the team's need in the middle. Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami, edge. He was listed as obviously one of the top defenders in this year's draft. He was confirmed meeting as well. Caleb Downs is a confirmed meeting. Top safety prospect on the board. Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Arizona State. He's also been there. Harold Perkins Jr., who is a linebacker out of LSU. He had a formal interview with us, and there was a couple more late ones, which I will pull up now as well. These are kind of later on in the proceedings, probably for our later draft round picks. South Carolina DB Jalen Kilgore, Georgia's cornerback Dalen Everett, and Auburn defensive end Kayron Crawford have also been interviewed and sat down. So out of that, then, that doesn't tell you anything. One wide receiver looked at, a corner who's not the top corner off the board.
I think a lot of teams are going to love Carnell Tate. I really do. I mean,
I do too. I think Carnell Tate might even go number 2.
Really smart guy as well. Really smart guy. I think he'll do well in any interview. I think he'd really impress. I think a lot of teams will probably want him. I think it's a little high for us because of what we need. If he was there at 7, as you say, you might even go second. You don't know. But if he's at 7, I'd still say it's a little high. But again, I'd rather go another direction.
I'm going to do someone dirty. I've done someone dirty here. I apologize. We also met with Austin McNamara, a punter out of Texas Tech.
Oh. That's probably the only position that you'd say is locked. His punter.
Yeah.
And the whole team, that quarterback. Besides that, everything else is up for grabs.
You're right. So Maverick Lemon is a very good wide receiver. Yeah.
Let's talk to a punter. Yeah. Great AP. Great. So what Maverick mentions here, please give me Love. Now, again, Love is probably the closest thing to Barkley than there probably is. That's come out of college since Barkley, really. But the thing is, would he help us? Definitely. But the thing is, if you've got to score 35 points every week to win a game, Eventually, your offense is going to fall apart. Just ask the Patriots in Super Bowl. So actually in the whole in the whhole off-season, the playoffs, they didn't score any points at all. The defense kept them in it. So it's kind of like, would I be angry if we got him? No, I wouldn't be angry. But I definitely think we definitely should go with defense personally. Yeah. Again, I get the point, Mav. I get the point with time possession is key, and Love can give us that potentially. But also, so can a high level corner could help us with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we get the ball back a few more possessions than we might have done if we didn't have a top level corner. So we could get time position that way too. So there's different ways of going about it. It's just a case of, I said, would I be unhappy with it? No, I wouldn't be unhappy, but I would prefer a true blue chip difference maker on defense. I'm not saying Love isn't a blue chip player. He probably is. Yeah, he's probably going to be a top 5 running back in the next couple of years. That's probably 100%. What he's probably going to be. That's his kind of, a ceiling. So I'd say I wouldn't be unhappy with it, but I would prefer.
I just find that we're going to struggle to trade down, and this is the problem. You could get Sonny Styles a little bit later. You could get a Mansour Delane a little bit later. If you're talking about your Mackay Lemons of the world, which I know Mavericks just mentioned in the chat there, Tyson from Arizona, they might be there a little bit later in the middle of the draft. But I'd be pretty peed off if we were sitting there, getting a wide receiver in the first. I'd be like, wow.
I'd rather go out and get like a Mike Evans for a couple of years.
Yeah, me too. Or sign a Jalen Naylor and Brandon Ayuk, give the tires a kick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ayuk's a good one because he's still got plenty of years left. If he can get back to any form and fitness, he's got plenty of years left in his NFL career.
That's a great point by Maverick there. He says Downs goes to Giants. And you know what? We'll get into Downs a little bit later because
Downs one of my favourites. I think I've learned to love him more.
There you go. And look at this, Scott. We know what I mean. This is
more. But I always get worried about or any safety being drafted at that level, at that high in the first round. People are going to compare him to Sean T, and we all know he's not Sean T. He does it differently. He's not the highlight reel guy like Sean Taylor was. It's different, and I think the expectations might make him fail here. Where if he went somewhere else, he probably will do really, really well. Probably all-pro player.
I think he'll be an all-pro player, irrespective of where he ends up. I think he will be the best safety in the whole of the NFL in 2 years.
Yeah, no one's Sean T. You're right, but again, I think there will be a lot of comparisons to him. Not as in the skill, the way they play. Because they play safety different ways. Yeah, completely, really. But it's just because if we're going to take a safety that high, it's got to be Sean Taylor level, or at least close. If it's not, you're like, mate, this is a bust. Where other team will give him a lot more leeway. Do you know what I mean? A lot more fans will give him a lot of leeway, and I just don't think you'd get that here. And that's just my personal opinion on that one. Not like I wouldn't give him it. I would, but again, it's that kind of thing. Some people, yeah, again, not wrong. You're not wrong, Mav. He's not Sean Taylor size, and he probably isn't as fast either. Again, that thing. It's about the comparison of production for the high level draft pick that you're picking a safety at. That's what it is. Yeah. You expect serious production from him, and he probably would still do well. But again, I just think if he has a bad game or a couple of things go wrong for him, our fans will be straight on the case saying he's not Sean Taylor, blah blah blah. See you later. So. But yes, it does. I do. I really like Downs. I've watched more video of him. I watched more tape of him. He's very, very cerebral. He's very, very clever in how he plays the game. And I say again, would I be unhappy if we picked him at 7? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be unhappy with it. I'm just saying that the fans might get in this case pretty damn quick. That's all I'm trying to say. But I hope he just comes in and he's all straight away. But we'll have to see how he goes. But everything's a risk.
I'm just going to answer this from Burrows, Commander Bunker. He says, do we somehow end up with a draft pick in the second round? And then to follow it up, Scott G's quipped and bully put in saying we're trading away our international fan of the year from from last year for this year's for a second round pick. We can end up with a second round pick, absolutely, and it depends on what we get.
AP's cooking there, mate. If he sells you two off for a second rounder.
Yeah, I mean, if we can trade back to, if AP thinks that we can do something, we could potentially trade back to like 14 with the Browns, and maybe pick up something there. I do a lot of mock drafts, obviously, and I look at who's doing what, and it's what the trade offers are. Some of them are completely unrealistic whatsoever. If it depends on certain things, if Love is still on the board, we're not convinced we're going to take Love. We're looking at a defensive end, or we're looking at a skill position in the secondary, or one of these corners. Could you trade back to the middle of the draft around 15 and pick up a second? I think you can. I think you genuinely can with a Tampa Bay, someone like that, or the Ravens at 14. I think you could do that, but it all depends on obviously who is on the board and what we're there. Look, if there's two of the edge rushers still on the board, which now I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be gone.
Yeah, I think
David Bailey could be 3. He could go as early as 3. I think Bain will be gone as well. It's going to be tough sledding, I think. So I think we may end up with someone like a Sonny Styles or a hopefully Caleb Downs.
I wouldn't want to take a linebacker at 7. I just don't.
I know,
make that position enough to pick a guy at 7.
I get it.
I'd rather take positional value of, say if Downs is there, fine. If Love's there, fine. Although I would prefer a defender. Or come down to say, early teens, 12, 13, something like that, and still get yourself the corner man saw. You mentioned Delane.
Delane, yeah, he's class. Even McCoy is an amazing corner.
So, I mean, and then you could get your second rounder from that.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
That's what I'd be doing if I could.
Well, we'll get into the big news that dropped yesterday. The Commanders are hosting a London game this year. We are at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which we know our mate Burrows is. Shithole, behave yourself. We know that Burrows is very excited for that because obviously being a big Spursy fan as well. We're going to London. We kind of knew that was already on the cards. We heard rumours it was going to be a back-to-backer. Kind of doesn't work out to be a back-to-back. There is still certain ways we could do that. We all thought because we're playing the Jags on, as an away team, there would be potential to just go, right, we'll do Spurs one weekend, then the following weekend we will do Wembley. Looking at it, the Jags are going back-to-back. They're the team that are doing back-to-back games purely because of obviously the stadium. But if there's a bye week in between, we could do it. But that's the only way. It's the only way round.
Now that would be interesting because that would be something that the NFL haven't tried yet. Is that back to back within an actual bye week in between?
I can't see us being here for 3 weeks, Scouse, man. That would be wild.
Yeah, that would be. To be fair,
I think it's one and I think it's one and done, and I think we're the first October game, which I think is the 4th of October.
Yeah, well, it's estimated, isn't it? At the moment, it's like week 5.
Yeah, estimated.
5.
Yeah, week 4. I think it is actually.
Week 4.
And then when's the earliest buys?
Week 5. I think.
5? Yeah, so that would make sense because generally when you've come off the international games, you go right. Well, you get a bye straight afterwards, and then you go into playing the Jags at Wembley. I don't know. No, because the way it works out, I don't know.
Interesting.
It would be. But we'll wait and see.
Potentially they might, but the other thing is as well is that they're getting paid their $20 million a year or whatever the hell it is they're getting paid. So, wherever the game is, you play there. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Who wouldn't want a trip around Europe for the boys? You know what I mean? If they're out and about on a bye week.
Exactly. They can go in Europe, not just UK. They can go Europe.
That's what I mean. They just go. They just could go anywhere, and it's their bye week. They do what they want. If that's how it works out. Now, generally, what happens is, and it was the same with Madrid this year or this season just gone. You get your you get your bye week afterwards. The Jags are obviously doing back-to-back. They played in London since every year since 2013 except 2020. 2 home games in London for the first time. This is going to kill me. My bank balance is going to be horrendous. But yes, Karen, I will take you to both games. And then the NFL also announced on Tuesday that Detroit would play a home game at Bayern Munich Stadium in Germany. And then obviously we've also got games in Madrid, Paris, New Orleans, Mexico City, which is the 49ers. Rio de Janeiro's got the Cowboys, and Melbourne, we know, has LA Rams and San Francisco 49ers. So, yeah, massive talk on this. I've seen as Burrows has pointed out before and others have pointed out, I've seen it myself. I've replied to people on social media about it as well, that some people are pissed about losing a home game. I get that, but you've known the home game was going to be lost before you bought your season ticket this year. I hope. And someone can quote me on that, because Burrows, obviously, we got our season ticket. You just messaged me and said, do you want to re-up? And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? But when you look at the season ticket prices and how they have increased again, it is a shitter to lose a home game. I completely understand that. And that's why I think that the NFC East games will stay. And we won't be playing an NFC East team. That's for sure. They wouldn't put one out there. Although they have done divisional game in Australia. So, who knows? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Don't forget, everyone goes on like that. We've got this amazing fan base that everyone shows up every game. You don't. I mean, and that's, the year we were winning, you were, yeah. But besides that, most of the time, it's 70% the other team anyway. So what's the problem here, I mean, I understand I'm talking from just an overall numbers perspective, that they're playing over here. It's going to be full. It's going to be full at Wembley, at Tottenham Stadium. It's going to be full, guaranteed.
I mean? It's going to be a nightmare on Ticketmaster again, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah, I hope Burrows should, now that he's the international fan of the year, that he can actually sort us out a box or something between 10 of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we can do it ourselves. We can both pull that card, can't we? I'll be like, come on, team, play it for me. And then Burrows can be like, yeah, this is my stadium. Right. We'll get it done. We'll get a box. We'll get a box,
man. We need to get a box.
We'll have a suite. Yeah. Do you know what, though? I don't know if I could cope with a box. I just think you're too far away from the action. I prefer to be outside, but watching it. But I don't necessarily want the glass in front of me. I'd rather just be like, I want to sit next to someone who sticks a beat in a New Orleans jersey.
Or you mean like an old man with one leg and
one leg and a cane? Yeah, one leg and a cane. Exactly that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly that. Yeah, I'm Andy fucking Burrows. Give me a box. Exactly that. Yeah, you're not wrong. Do you know who I am? I'm kind of a big deal. Love it. Cardboard box is all you'll get, says Scott G. Yeah. And there you go. You're right. We'll get into our fan questions then, and our fan questions are all from Scott G. So yeah, this is Scott G's mind. So we'll get there. He says both Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson have spoken very highly this week at the combine of David Blau. Will this be enough to get the negative Nancys to slow down with their complaints for a while?
I don't think so. To answer the question, no, I don't think it does. As I say, I don't hate the idea of this. No, I never have, but I just didn't like the two of the coordinators both being rookies. I don't like that idea. And with Blau, he doesn't have any kind of real guy to lean on. He's got loads of experience, you know what I mean, on the offense side of things. Well, at least the defensive guy's got Dan Quinn, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. I'm not saying he's not a genius. He could be a genius, this fella. It's different. So, but yes, there is going to be negative Nancys out there, and there are going to be people who are going to continue to moan until they start to see what's going on and how good he is and how good our offense looks. If it looks good, this guy's the next big thing. If it's dog shit, then he's going to be fired, and everyone's going to want his head after the first 5 or 6 games. Yeah, so it's just how it goes, isn't it? As an offensive coordinator, you better hit the ground running. Unfortunately, it's what it is now. What have you done for me lately, league? Not, you're a rookie, you got to give you 2-3 years to get to acclimatize like a tight end. No. You've got to hit the ground running, bro. You've got to at least show us something, even if you're not that great. in the first season, you still got to show us something that you've got something about you that's gonna work out for us. Otherwise, there's the door. Do you know what I mean? And that's how they're going to be treated. Just facts.
Yeah, agree with Rod's point in. Glenn, thanks for being here. Rod, he said, well, we've got to just hope for the best and support the team. Agreed. That's all we can do. Until we see his scheme, we're not going to know, are we?
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
not going to know exactly.
The jury's out. The jury is out, and we have to wait to see what he's got. And I hope it works. I hope this guy's got the best offense in the league. I really do. I hope we got 40 points a game average. Yeah, fantastic. No, I love all that shit. I mean, but again, is that realistic? Probably not. But yeah, I mean, I'm always going to give a guy a shot if I've not seen him before. Like, so the rookies, I've not seen this guy before. I don't know what a scheme is, so I'm always going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. Until right. Just before we move on to the next question, we'll pop this up and
is that
legit? It is. Yeah, it's legit. It's legit. His birthday. So yeah.
Happy 60th, Scott, lad.
I'm gonna say you just beat me to it. The words straight out my mouth, mate. You got the words straight out of my mouth. Happy 60th, Scott G. No, in all seriousness, thank you for always being here. Thank you for putting the questions in. You know, they've got a really, really good community of people on this stream, and I 50. Cannot 50. Good man. You don't look a day over 42, mate. You're doing well. Yeah.
That's why I said 60th.
You need some of Scouse's face cream. You know what I mean? That's what you need. Fair play to you. Go and shout at your neighbour who's 132 miles the other direction. Oh, I'm 50.
The wind might travel that far.
It will do. Paper cups. Yeah. Oh dear. Right, Scott G's second question. He says, "Is there any this is Styles versus Downs? He's called it. Is there any logical explanation of why a critic of drafting Downs at 7 makes up a story that Styles moving from safety to linebacker at OSU somehow means Downs was forced to change his position? The source only highlights Downs' greatness." And what he means by that is he's getting at Jesse Martin there, because Jesse on the Bleeding Burgundy pod the other day wants to poo-poo my idea of picking Caleb Downs over Sonny Styles, and he made a reference to say that Sonny Styles had moved positions, and that is true. He did move positions, but he was recruited out of high school as one of the best recruits in the entire nation, 5-star recruit, and I really like Downs. I think he's a great player.
So if Styles moved from safety to linebacker, that surely means that Downs the better player at safety.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because why would you move your better player into a foreign position if the other guy's not as good? The other guy's got you better. So obviously, Downs a better player.
Tony Wheat just said there in our WhatsApp chat, he said David Bailey just ran a 4.51 in the 40 at the combine.
And he's about what? How much he weigh? About what? 300, something like that. 280, 300.
Yeah.
6'5", 6'6". Yeah, it's pretty tasty. Pretty tasty speed.
He said Downs had to switch, but it was Styles who'd moved. Yeah, sorry, I got it the wrong way around. That's fair enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But obviously, I don't mind either. We just got to get better, younger, stronger. And as we said many times before, the free agency period is where you fill your needs, and the draft is where you fill you fill with the talent. That's what you've got to do. Got to get younger. Got to get more talented, blue chip players, like you said on last week's show, Scouts. I wouldn't mind a lockdown corner. Do you know what I mean? Because that does a lot. That does a lot for this team.
No, I'd want since Chad Bailey. Let's face it, and he was only there.
You're not wrong.
2 years. 3 years when it was until he left.
260 Bailey. Yeah, 260.
260. Okay. Yeah. So we've had the lockdown corner for a long, long time, man. Like, and obviously before that was Darryl Green, obviously for like 20 years, which is insane, by the way.
Yeah. But, I mean, he could still do a job now as cornerback. As
Darryl Green was, you know. But yeah, we've not had that, so it would be nice to see something like that. So as I'm saying, I mean, we can go so many different ways because we've got so many needs. This is the thing. That's how bad we are as a squad. Let's face it, though, players-wise, talent-wise, we've got very little talent. We've got a few guys, that's about it. Offense and defense, you want to include them all together. You know, you've got maybe 6 guys you think that other teams might want. You throw your picks up, like decent high-level picks for players. After that, you've got nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, even the Jets, you know, when they fire sailed before halfway through the season, you know, on on the trade deadline. You know, they got first rounders and more for their guys. So they're an awful team, but yet they've got loads of talent. We've got no talent
because we couldn't draft. That's the point. When you're taking Emmanuel Forbes over Gonzalez, when you're not taking Hamilton, when you're not taking, players that we knew were better. Who is the guy who's the linebacker out of? He went to the Browns. We were screaming for him, saying, "Why haven't you taken him?" A really, really good linebacker as well for the Browns. Cannot remember his name now for the life of me. Someone will tell me. And we didn't end up. We ended up taking what was it? A wide receiver. It wasn't Jahan Dotson. It was somebody else. I can't remember his name. I think it was it was Phil Mathis. We took. What are we doing?
Defensive tackle. Yeah, in the second round. Yeah. Nakobe Dean, wasn't it? It was Nakobe Dean.
It was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. That's it. Was Owusu-Koramoah.
He won the first round, didn't he?
No.
No. Okay, no. Okay.
I'm pretty certain he was a second round. He might have gone in the first round, and I might be talking absolute tosh. And if I am, then obviously
I just want to go for wanting Nakobe Dean, but again, knowing that he was a smaller linebacker, and he was still there in the second round. I think he went third round overall to the Eagles. I think, if I'm not wrong. So we could have got him. Instead, we got Phil Mathis, who was a joke. He said he was the best defensive tackle in the draft. Well, that's how bad the draft was then, because he was shocking, wasn't he? Let's face it. Yeah, that's all Ron's fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's all it was. Emmanuel Forbes. Like, what we doing there?
I'm sure Ron did that one on purpose. Oh, that one for sure.
Yeah, he went second round. He was 52 overall. He went 52.
Who? JOK.
Jeremiah. JOK.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, we could have gone.
Could have, yeah. The other thing I saw was a tweet from Adam Schefter, and we were talking about it just before. This is probably just before we finish now, Scouts. We're talking obviously about potentially seeing all the top defensive ends, edge rushers off the board early in the draft. There was a trade that was made today with the New York Jets sending D-end Jermaine Johnson to the Titans, and they exchanged for a defensive tackle in Tavondre Sweat. Obviously, the trade can't be processed until the start of the new league year. We don't know what the compensation is, etc., etc. I think it's just player for player swap, but they've swapped, and the trade pretty much puts the Jets squarely in a position to take a D end at number 2. So David Bailey's skyrocketing. Reuben Baines kind of dropping a little bit his stock.
Scott G mentions here that the official weight for Bailey is 251. I mean, isn't that a little slight, a little slim? Or is that sound? Is that an okay weight for
250-ish for an edge, 255, 260. Yeah, it's about right.
Is it? Okay. So it's not like he's underweight or overweight or
no.
Is he not underweight? Okay.
Plus, remember the scheme that we will be playing. It's 3-4. So you need to use him almost as an outside linebacker rather than, a straight up, I am an edge rusher in the 4-3 system. 2 ends, 1 at each end. It's not going to be like that. And we're going to be playing this weird hybrid system at times where base formation of 3-4, when we're not necessarily going to be in the base formation as much as we think we're going to be in it. So there'll be a lot of different looks there, especially with the Minnesota side.
I like it. I like the idea of being versatile, but the thing is that we can't even be good at one formation.
That's true.
One formation. What makes me going to be good at 2 or 3 different types of formations mid-game? Do you know what I mean? I'm not wrong, am I? It's kind of like, it's like fantastic. We've got this new coach. Maybe he changes it all around for us, maybe. But the thing is, let's just be good at one formation first. Then we can build from that. Rather than hybrids, this, that, the other, fucking, 5, fucking 2, fucking whatever. No, just nail down one first, and then we can build a second one in. Do you know what I mean? We can incorporate a second style or third style.
The final question of the day, mate, also comes from Scott G. He said, how many hours of underwear Olympics, i.e. combine workouts and watching, are you going to watch? I'll see what I can see this weekend. I mean, in case you knew, so today, obviously 3 p.m. Eastern time, it was D-line, linebackers, and punters. Punters and kickers, sorry, were in scheduled today. Friday, it's the DBs and the tight ends.
Any good kick?
Don't know. DBs and tight ends are tomorrow at 3, and then Saturday we have QBs, running backs, and wide receivers at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then Sunday we have the O-line. You and me glued to your TV on Sunday, aren't you? O-line. Go on, give me the bench press. Let me see the bench press.
No, I prefer to see the drills. I prefer to see drills in like,
I know what you mean.
Technique, all that type of thing. I'm looking for that more than
the cone drill. Yeah,
more than like how much you can bench, or you know what I mean. Like bench, great, fantastic. But that power, that strength needs to be involved in power, not just like strength. If that makes sense, it's got to be explosive. Now, I understand the bench press is an explosive movement, but it's just a case of, does that really translate to a great player? If you can bench 20 of those, 30 of those, no, it doesn't. So that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Whereas the cone stuff, the footwork, the kind of, the ball placement when the quarterback's throw it, because they're under no pressure, but it's still that kind of thing. It's not their receivers, they don't know when they're going to break out of it, etc. If someone's very accurate, you can see it a mile off, and you can see it inaccurate a mile off, even with under no pressure. If you can't do it under no pressure, he's never going to be able to do it with pressure. Yeah. So it's kind of, I was looking at those type of things really when I'm looking into the draft, but I do prefer to see, let's say, more the footwork drills, more the kind of, how quick you are, how smooth you are in motion, all those type things. That's what I look at. Really. You look at what you look for when you're looking at it.
I'm the same. Cone drills. I want to see how fast they're doing. On the 10-yard split as well. For you looking at receivers, quarterbacks don't really do any sort of drills anymore, especially if you
hold the ball. I mean, you hold the ball in certain areas, but again, you've got to be accurate. You know what I mean?
What was it called? Was it Willis? No, Wilson. Zach Wilson. He became a bloody first rounder off a stupid spiral pass inside to his own wide receiver inside his own training area.
I mean, obviously that was a massive reach for Wilson. He was never that good to be.
It was Zach Wilson. Who's he with now? He's backing up somebody now. I think he's at the Titans. Actually, I think. I'm not sure.
He's got a job anywhere. To be fair, he's awful. But it's true though. Like when you look at some of the guys who are really inaccurate.
He's in Miami.
Who's inaccurate at the combine. They don't end up all of a sudden becoming really good NFL quarterbacks. They just don't. If you're not accurate under no pressure in a combine scenario, again, there's no wind. No, it's all indoors. It's the best conditions you can have. If you're not accurate in those areas, you haven't got a chance of being an NFL QB. You know what I mean? So it's instantly rule out loads of them just after seeing them 5 throws in the combine. You know what I mean? It's like, you haven't got it straight away. So it's the guys who it looks smooth, effortless, in the right position where it should be put every single time. If it's a 10-yard out route, the ball's dead on position. Even if the guy drops it, if it's right in the right position. That's what the quarterback's for. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. There's just little things. Like I love Stroud when he came out because I've seen how he did his.
Yeah, very good.
I loved it. I was like, he put it exactly where he should put it. Yes, some receivers dropped them, but that's not on him. Because they weren't like ridiculous catches. But it's one of them.
Well, that just about does it, Scouts.
I like the combine.
I know you do. I know you love the Underwear Olympics. It's one of them, and we've had a few fails, haven't we? I mean, I can't remember whose piece fell out when he was doing the 40-yard dash. That was quite funny. But it is what it is.
I mean, the 40 time is a bit of a red herring, isn't it? Let's face it. 'Cause a lot of guys who are just track speed athlete that fast straight, you don't get that in an NFL match in a game like that.
I know.
You just don't really see it. Like, you might see the odd over the top, the deep ball once in a while, the go route, but it's very rare that if that's all you've got, then the defense is going to pick up that and that as well. So you're never going to get the ball anyway. So you got to be better than just flat out straight line speed. You know what I mean? If you're going to make it in the NFL, to as a receiver, so
true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So again,
right. Well, we'll be on the same time next week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that stuff. Just hit that like button. It takes 2 minutes for you to not even takes 2 seconds for you to do it. Put comments in the chat by all means of what you would do at 7. We'll be on the same time next week, probably giving you more Commanders updates and news. Thanks, everybody who put questions in, and thanks, everybody in the chat for being here. And we will see you again next week. Bye.